Hi everyone, welcome to part 1 of this tutorial series on how to create this red robin hedge. In part 1 we're going to hand paint our leaf and branch components in Photoshop. In part 2 we'll model our hedge using Blender's geometry nodes. In the third part we'll be creating our final textures in Substance Designer. And in the final part we'll be going back into Blender to apply the textures to our mesh, set up some lighting and a turntable, and then do a still and an animated render using cycles. So let's start up Photoshop and we'll start a new project. So if we do end up with multiple files, they'll all be kept together under a project. We'll call it Red Robin Hedge and then just click create. Okay, we don't want to invite anyone else to the project, so skip that bit. Then we'll select new file and we're going to do a square artboard of 4096 pixels by 4096. We'll call it Red Robin Leaves. Actually, we'll just call it Red Robin. Everything else is fine as it is. And then just click create. Okay, so we're going to split our artboard up into quarters. So let's go to view and down to guides, and we're going to go to new guide layout. We need 2 columns and 2 rows. And if there's anything in the gutter here by default, then just get rid of it. You don't want any gutter. Just hit OK. And we'll go up to this little arrow at the top here and just change over to the painting workspace. And then we just need one window that we don't have here, which is the colour. So over to window, down to colour. There we go. So as for our brushes, I'm just going to be using a hard round brush and a soft round brush and maybe something just in between. I'm not going to be using any fancy brushes, anything like that, but you can use whatever you like. So next I'm going to bring in a reference image, and I just found this image by googling Red Robin Hedge. Go and get either the same one or something similar. You just need a selection of leaves to copy basically. Just going to scale it up a little bit and then come down to the image in the layers panel, right click and just rasterize the layer so we can do something with it. Then we'll select the Lasso tool and then we're just going to pick out 4 leaves, take them off the background, and then we can move them around separately to use as references. When you've got the first one selected, just hit Ctrl C, Ctrl V to copy and paste that leaf. And then go and select the background layer again and move on to the next one. Once you have 4 separate leaves, you can hide the background and then switch the leaves back on. And then we're going to rotate them all around so that they're all facing upwards. We'll also scale them and position them so that each leaf is in the centre of one grid square. We'll now go and select all of our reference layers and we'll put them in a new folder and we'll call the folder References. Next, we'll create some layers that we can paint and draw on. We'll call our first one Opacity and we'll call our next one Outlines. On the outlines layer, we're going to go and draw all the outlines of our leaves. So we'll go and grab a pencil brush. You can just search for it in this box and pick any pencil that you like. Just choose a black colour and then just go and draw all your outlines and also the vein that goes up the centre. So once you have that done, we will temporarily hide our reference images and then we're going to do a new layer and we're going to call it Black Background. We'll bring it below the opacity layer and then we're going to fill it with black. Go and get your fill bucket. The shortcut that I can never remember is G. And just make sure it is 100% black as well. That's very important. And then temporarily, just so that we can see our outlines over the top of it, we'll just reduce the opacity of the black background layer. So we're now going to go and switch paint brushes. I'm going to go and get a hard round pressure size brush and we're going to switch to 100% white colour. We'll now select our opacity layer and then we're going to draw the silhouette of all 4 leaves. Just make sure that you don't leave any holes anywhere. This is going to be the opacity mask for our textures in Substance Designer. And anything that's black is going to end up being transparent. So it's very important that you don't leave any holes. So at this point now we can turn the opacity of the black background back up to 100%. Just turn off the outlines and then just do a quick check for any holes in it. You can also neaten up the edges if you want to. And just make sure that you like the overall silhouette. When you're happy with that, you can turn your reference group back on and bring them all the way to the top so that we can see them again. Now, above our opacity layer, we're going to add a new layer and we're going to call it base. This is where we're going to do our very basic base colour for each leaf. And we're going to colour pick from our references and just put one colour all over the leaf, just to start us off. We're also going to purposely paint over the edges of the leaf by quite a large margin as well. Okay, so I'm just going to make it now so that we can see our references whilst we paint. So let's just grab these. And then let's just move them all across a little bit so that we can see what we're doing. Right, so let's close this up. We're going to use our opacity layer, that one that we did the white shapes on, as our clipping layer. So we're going to go to base, create clipping mask. And what that does is it uses the white layer underneath as the mask, and then we'll only see what's on top of that white mask, basically. If we create another layer now above the base layer, we can do the same with that. Create clipping mask, and same thing again. So if we now go and get, say, any colour, and we paint on this layer here that we've just created, it'll only show you what's within those bounds. But if we go and remove the clipping mask, release clipping mask, you'll see that it is still actually there if you need it. So just erase that. We'll call this one colour. This is the layer that we're going to use to add our extra colours, our depth, some shadow, some lighting. Okay, let's switch back to our brush. And I'm going to choose soft round pressure opacity for this. We don't have any like sharp looking shadows, anything like that. Everything's blended in quite well. If you look at the references, lots of gradients going on. So we're going to use a soft round pressure opacity, and I'm also going to turn the opacity down quite low as well, to about 30 something. And what you can do, you can start off by trying to just colour pick from our reference images to get the sort of levels that we want. You can always adjust them to another colour or do whatever you want really. Let's just give it a go. Get some shadow going. Just play around with the brush settings as well. If you want your shadows to look sharper and more painterly, then you can use a harder brush. Maybe something like 50% hardness. It really just depends on what sort of look you want to do. Just going to try and get some nice shadow going here. Also got a green streak going down the middle of our leaf. Have a look at doing in a minute. You'll notice all of these leaves have got raindrops all over them, but we're not going to be making our leaves wet. If you paint the raindrops in, they're there forever. If you don't want wet leaves, well, tough, you've got them. So we're just going to leave that out. Alright, let's colour pick this green. Come in here. Streak up here. Might just turn the opacity back up a tiny bit because it's taking quite a few strokes to build things up. Let's try it at about 50. Orange going on down here. Very pale white pink down here. So don't forget, you can also colour pick and then change it over here. You can make it darker, make something look more dramatic. And there's clearly a bend in the leaf there, isn't there, where it's bent in? So I'm going to try and get some shadow in there to show that. More shadow in on the right hand side where the leaf bends over here. I feel like I've got the main colours on there now. Obviously it's all very smooth looking, Nothing in the way of texture or anything at the moment, but I'm just going to just do the same with the other 3 leaves, get them all to the same point, and then we'll have a look at doing some, just getting a little bit of texture on it so it doesn't all look so perfect and smooth in a little bit. Let's move on to the bottom leaf. A lot more variation colour on this one, lots of green, lots of red, lots of in-between colours. Nice. Here we've got more red towards the top. Move this reference image over so I can see what's going on with it. Big. Let it over somewhere I can see it. There we go. And as I said, with the last leaf, we're just getting our basic colours in for now. We can work on the detail a little bit later. So, lay down the very basic colours. Don't worry too much about it. Shame we can't really see what's underneath this other leaf here, so I'm afraid we just have to make it up. That'll do for that one. There's not really any colour variation on this leaf, so just have to put our shadow in and our light areas really, and that's about all we can do. One does have a bit of a pink stem. And move on to this one. So with this one, you can see this side here is darker, and you've got a big white streak that goes up the vein, and then you've got a bit of a white patch right there where the light's bouncing off it, and then this is over this side's quite uniform as well. So pick ourselves a darker colour. Okay, there's our basic shading done. When we come back, we will get a little bit of texture onto these so they don't look quite so smooth and simple. Okay, so in order to be able to paint in a little bit of detail, I'm going to use a different brush. I'm going to go hard round pressure size over here, and then let's open our brush settings here. And I'm just going to turn the hardness right down to about 25%. We just want a little bit of hardness so we can just see the edges. And let's click create new brush. It's actually calling it a soft round, so look, let's go 20% hard. Pressure size. There's our new brush right there. Give it a try. Just going to bring my overall opacity down quite low as well. 22 will be fine. Let's hide the outlines. Let's just try and get some texture on these leaves. All I'm going to do is just pick colours and either go a little bit darker, a little bit lighter, and just keep varying the surrounding colour, just so that it's not all smooth. Dark one here, we can go a little bit darker. And I'll just keep going over them with different colours until it all looks more interesting, really. Blend them together. Colour pick from the stuff that's already been blended, blend them further. Also mix in some neighbouring hues, and what I mean by that is, say just pick a colour like this, and instead of sticking to that exact red colour, just a different level, the neighbouring hue of red, you could either take it up towards yellow, or you could come the opposite way and take it more purple, just to give it a little bit more interest. You might put a little bit of orange in it. If it starts to look a bit much, you can always blend it in or just go back over it again in another colour. Just experiment a bit and see what looks good. Also put a bit of highlight around some of these edges. If you have a look on this one here, you can see it's actually got more of a white edge than a dark one. Let's just highlight ever so slightly. And perhaps a little bit down here. It looks a bit sharp. You can always use a smudge brush to smudge it in a little bit. It's still a little bit darker. Doesn't look so flat. Darken the edges. Right, I think I'm happy with that one for now. Let's move on. I've got a feeling this one here is going to turn out the best because it's got the most variation. We'll see. Okay, so I'm reasonably happy with those for now. We'll go and take them into Substance Designer next after we've exported them. But the great thing is that if I want to come in and improve these at any point, I can just do whatever I want and then re-export at any time. So it's really easy to make improvements later on. So let's get these exported. Okay, so let's turn off the references group. And then the first thing that we're going to export is going to be our opacity map. Just turn off the base and the colour, and then we'll go to File. I think we can just get away with doing a quick export as a PNG. I've created this project folder on my computer here, so for me it's Azora 3D tutorials, and then I've created a project folder for the Red Robin. So I'm going to put it in here, and we're going to call this Red Robin Leaves Opacity. And then we're going to just do the colour. Let's turn these off, put these back on. Oh yeah, we've got to unclip them first, so let's select both of these, release clipping mask, and then just export these. Do the same thing again, but just change the word opacity to colour. So that's our leaves done, and now we're going to quickly paint some branches so that we can scatter our leaves onto them in Substance Designer. So let's group all of these items that we've got so far and put them in one group. Call that leaves. And then we'll create another group. Call it branches. Let's just duplicate this black background. Duplicate layer. And drag it into branches. And then hide the leaves. Turn that on. So we're going to do the same thing again, but with some branches. We're going to do an opacity layer first and then just put colour on top of them. So let's get a new layer. Call it opacity. And we'll just go and get a hard round precious size and just start painting some branches. No references this time, just going to make it up really. We're going to do 4 branches with a little bit of variation. Make sure you're on your opacity layer and you've got 100% white selected for your brush. Just going to put it roughly in the centre of each square. Oh, our opacity is still down, so just turn that back right up to 100. There we go. Some extra smoothing might be good. I'm going to do more of a straight one this time. There's bends in it. And just make sure you don't leave any holes or gaps in it, because those holes will be there in the texture. If it helps as well, don't forget in Photoshop you can press R and rotate the whole canvas to help you get a better angle on stuff. Okay, I think I'm happy with that for now. Let's get a new layer, which we'll call base. Just going to thin this one out a little bit, it's looking a bit chunky. All good. Okay, so let's switch over to the base layer, and we're just going to put down a mid-brown colour all over it. Just going to find something like this, not too saturated, not too dark, not too light. And let's just use the fill for it. There we go. Let's create a new layer, call it colour, and then we'll select both of these and create clipping mask. Okay, select our colour one. And again, I'm going to switch to a soft round pressure opacity and just start getting some shadow down. We'll just go a bit darker than we are right now. I want most of the shadow to be around the edges. Don't forget you can zoom in if you need. Actually, might go straight to my 20% hard brush actually, so it's not too soft. Yeah, it's a bit better. So these are going to be in the background really, they're going to be like inside the hedge that we're making. You're not going to see a whole lot of it, so I'm not going to go too crazy on it. And change the hue up a little bit as well. We can put some, oh, that's a bit too green. Let's go back down. It's okay, some branches are a bit green if they're young. And here, just going to get a bit of texture on all the little bits in between, on edges. Just make them look nice and gnarly. Great, let's export them. These two are first. File, export, quick export as PNG. Right, so let's call this one Red Robin Branches Opacity. So turn these ones back on, let's unclip them, release clipping mask, and yeah, just export them. Export, quick export as PNG. My computer's being really slow. Hello. Okay, finally. Right, Red Robin Branches. Colour. So let's save our work, and I will see you in the next section where we will model our hedge using Blender's geometry nodes. If you're enjoying this course so far, please like and subscribe.